It's awesome having you today with us. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is Enobong Ekarika, and I believe you're good to go and you had a great time, a great day, and you're welcome to this awesome learning experience on the interesting topic people can be interesting. Should I use the word people can be funny? 15 ways to manage expectations from people and keep your sanity. People can be interesting. 15 ways to manage expectations and keep your sanity. Are you often frustrated by unmet expectations, in your relationships? Do you find yourself often stressed out, by the actions or inactions of those around you? And if so, good people, we have the perfect solution for you. We are thrilled to have you in today's webinar. People can be interesting. 15 ways to manage expectations and keep your sanity. You're welcome. But before we proceed, let's start with our mantra. I believe you remember our mantra. Remember, we are all uncommon man, uncommon people. So let's take the uncommon man's mantra. Okay, this mantra is a reminder to each and every one of us to be an uncommon person, and it's from the book Common Sense by Thomas Paine, and this book was written in 1776. So good people, let's take it together. Let's read it together. I do not choose to be a common man. It's my right to be uncommon. If I can, I seek opportunity, not security. Please, let's read it together. I do not wish to be a kept citizen, humbled and dulled by having the state look after me. I want to take the calculated risk, to dream and to build, to fail and to succeed. I refuse to barter incentive for a dough. I prefer the challenges of life to the guaranteed existence, the thrill of fulfillment to the stale calm of utopia. I will not trade freedom for beneficence, nor my dignity for a handout. I will never cower before any master, nor bend before any trait. It's my heritage to stand erect, proud and unafraid. So think and act for myself, to enjoy the benefit of my creations, and to face the world boldly and say, this, with God's help, I have done. Please, can you give yourself a clap? Can you celebrate yourself for taking up this mantra together, the uncommon man's mantra? The uncommon man's mantra, because we are all uncommon. We choose to be uncommon. So you're welcome once again to today's class. We are very happy and proud to have you with us. So let's go into our topic for today. You're welcome. Once again, we are taking up this interesting topic. People can be interesting, people can be funny, people can disappoint, people can hurt, people can get you, you know, You know what it means for smoke to come out from your head? But what is important is, how do we manage these expectations and still keep our sanity? How do we manage expectations from people and still keep our sanity? So you're welcome once again. Let's go. Now, once again, my name is Enobong Ekarika. You can reach me via my email, enobongekarika1@gmail.com, or YouTube. Just come on YouTube, search for Enobong Ekarika, and please subscribe, watch our videos, learn from them all, and share. Let me talk about myself a little bit. My name is Enobong Ekarika once again. I'm an expert in personal development, communications, leadership. I have a career spanning over 2 decades now, and I've dedicated my life to empowering individuals and organizations to reach their highest potentials. And there's a whole lot to talk about me. So I'll still talk about me a little bit, okay? Beyond my profession, that is, please hold on, please hold on, please hold on. I'll be with you in a short while. All right. So beyond my professional achievements, I'm a committed advocate for mental health. Okay? Not just that, your mental well-being and personal growth. I believe in the power of empathy, the power of self-awareness, and continuous learning, because it's a foundation for personal and professional success. I'm so happy to have you joining me in today's class. Once again, you're highly appreciated. Let's start with this quote by Doreen Virtue. It says, boundaries are a part of self-care. They are healthy, normal, and necessary. That means that in this journey of maintaining your sanity, boundaries are very key. Boundaries are part of self-care. To keep your sanity, you must create boundaries, healthy boundaries, because boundaries are healthy, they are normal, and they are necessary. This is a great one from Doreen Virtue. And now our content for today, we look at what we mean by expectation. What are expectations? What do you understand by expectations? I remember we promised you 15 strategies to manage expectations. Okay, we are going to look at all of them one after the other. Then we look at practical applications and examples. Then we give room for question and answers. Then we have our conclusion. I hope you're ready. I hope you're ready. You're highly, highly welcome. So let's proceed on our topic today. Now, what do we mean by expectations? Expectations can come in the form of beliefs and assumptions. There are times we just believe or have this preconceived beliefs, some assumptions about how people should behave, how they should communicate, how they should fulfill their lives. It can be like personal standards. What do we mean by that? Okay, personal standards can be, you know, remember we are defining expectations. Okay, so in defining it, we now say expectation can come in the form of personal standards. There are times people place so much high standard for themselves, or they place a very low standard for themselves. But what do we mean by that? That means that expectation can be personal standard, benchmark that we set for others and for our own experience, for others based on our experience. There are times we use our own experience to set standard for others. Okay, and now And expectation can also be guidelines for behaviors. It also influences our interactions. And also, expectations can be internal or external. What do you mean by that? Expectation can be internal. What we mean by that is what we expect of ourselves, okay? Or it can be external, what we expect from others. Now let's look at examples of expectations. In relationships, an example is when a person expects a partner, to remember special dates, to show affection, to communicate openly. You know, it's just an expectation. In professional setting, another example is when we expect our colleagues to meet deadlines, to maintain professionalism, or to provide constructive feedback. It's just an example of expectations, what you expect or think the other person should do or you yourself should do. And in social interactions is when we assume that our friends will be supportive, trustworthy, and honest. It doesn't count always. It's an expectation. And like the topic says, what do you do if you don't meet these expectations in people? How do you handle people not meeting your expectations? How do you handle people becoming interesting? So in service scenarios, we can expect prompt and cautious service from businesses and service partners. Let's take another quote, interesting quote here. This quote is by Deborah Reber. It says, letting go doesn't mean that you don't care about someone anymore. It's just realizing that the only person you really have control over is yourself. That is it. The only person you have control over is yourself. That means when we have realistic or unrealistic expectations of others, we may not be able to control their actions if they will live up to our expectations, but we can control our own. That's why we says realizing that the only person we have control over is ourselves. That's Deborah Reber. Now, why is managing expectation important? Why is it important to manage expectations? Why is managing expectations important? Now let's look at this. Number one is that it prevents frustration. Okay? Managing expectation prevents frustration and disappointment. How does this happen? Now let's look at it together. How does it happen? Now, it's important because it prevents from disappointment and frustration because you have to have a realistic outlook on life, a realistic outlook on others. Having realistic expectations reduces that likelihood of feeling let down when things don't go as you expect, and then it also enhances emotional stability. What do you mean by that? It helps to maintain emotional stability by minimizing negative reaction to unexpected, unmet expectations. Then why another reason why managing expectation is important is that it enhances relationship satisfaction. How does it does that? It brings about improved communication. Okay, there will be clear and managed expectations which will surely promote better communication and understanding in between individuals. There will be stronger bonds, which will lead to stronger and more satisfying relationship. Okay, because both parties are aware of and they can meet each other's realistic, not unrealistic, realistic expectations. Another reason why managing expectation is important is that it promotes emotional well-being. What do you mean by that? It will lead to reduce stress When emotional well-being is improved, there will always be reduced stress, okay? There will be increased happiness. You realize that this will lead to a more positive outlook on life and, interactions, enhancing happiness. It will surely enhance happiness. Now, let's look at more ways why managing expectation is important. Number four reason is that it encourages personal growth. It encourages personal growth. It will bring about self-awareness. It will help to improve your adaptability. You'll be able to adapt to different kinds of people. Adapt to your spouse, adapt to your colleagues, adapt to neighbors, adapt to people all around you. Another important reason is that it fosters a positive environment. How does it does that? It encourages mutual respect, it encourages collaborative spirit. So let's quickly look at examples of consequences of unmanaged expectations. Examples of consequences of unmanaged expectations. What do you mean by that? Personal relationship. Number one is what? In personal relationship, an example is when there's constantly feeling let down. You feel that your partner had let you down, and this can lead to resentment, can lead to conflict. Professional settings, unrealistic expectations from team members can result in decreased morale and productivity. And then social interaction, okay? Expecting too much, okay, from friends can strain friendships and lead to isolation. So now let's go to our next topic. What are the common sources of unrealistic expectations? We've itemized here some sources of unrealistic expectations. Number one, cultural and societal norms. How does this happen? We have it in media influences, TVs, movie, social media. They often portray one idealized version of relationships, lifestyle, and it always leads to unrealistic expectations. Then media, cultural standard. Different cultures have varying expectations, for behavior, for success and relationships, and that may always not be achievable or realistic for everybody. So that's under society, cultural and societal norm. Now look at past experiences are not bringing. We have some things like family dynamics, okay? The way we were raised and the expectations set by our parents, and family can shape our own expectations in adulthood. And also previous relationships, past relationships, whether personal or professional, it can create benchmark that may not be applicable in new experiences, new contexts. Another common source of unrealistic expectations are personal insecurities and fears. What do you mean by that? We have this fear of rejection and need for control. Fear of rejection and need for control. Another common source of unrealistic expectations are perfectionism. Perfectionism can come in the form of high standard, holding yourself and others to excessively high standard. It will often lead to disappointment, when these are not met. Another way that perfectionism appears, it's fear of failure, expecting perfection as a way to avoid failure and criticism. Another source of unrealistic expectation is lack of communication. Okay, when there's assumption, assuming that others know what you expect without clearly communicating these expectations is very wrong. It will always lead to unrealistic expectation. People cannot read your mind. I cannot read your mind, and you cannot read my mind. And if I don't express it well, it's going to affect me. It's going to affect. So another factor is peer pressure. Another factor is peer pressure. Peer pressure, it will lead to comparison and what again? um Conformity. Comparison is when we constantly compare ourselves and our relationships to those of others, and leading to, this will always lead to unrealistic benchmarks. Okay, and then conformity is when you try to meet the expectations of your peers or try to fit in to gain acceptance. Then another, the last but not the least source of unrealistic expectations is idealized self-image, self-expression, external validation. We set unrealistic goals and expectations for ourselves based on idealized versions of who we think we should be. The need for external validation, relying on external validation to measure our worth, it always leads to unrealistic demands on others. Now let's quickly go to our next subtopic: impact of unmet expectations. Impact of unmet expectations. Unmet expectations can have impact on our emotional and psychological being, and it can also lead to relationship strain. Okay, it can lead to relationship strain. Now, how does this happen? How does this happen? For emotional and psychological effects, you will experience frustration, disappointment. Emotional and psychological effect is, we see when one experiences disappointment, and that is when expectations are often, unmet. It often leads to a feeling of disappointment and sadness. Frustration and anger is another effect. Persistent unmet expectations can result in frustration, anger, and this will affect our overall emotional well-being. Stress and anxiety is another factor. Unrealistic expectation on ourselves and on others will always lead to stress and anxiety. It will create unnecessary pressure, which will lead to stress and anxiety. Lowered self-esteem is another psychological effect. And then resentment, another one. Continuous unmet expectations can build resentment towards others, thereby damaging our emotional health. Now, another implication of unmet expectations is on our relationships. On our relation, how does it affect relationship? There'll be communication breakdown. When there are unmet expectations, it often leads to miscommunication and misunderstanding, and this will always create tension in relationships. Then conflict and arguments. Unrealistic expectations are a common source of conflict. It will lead to frequent arguments and disagreements. Then loss of trust. Repeated disappointments can erode trust and intimacy in relationships. Then emotional distance. Over time, unmet expectations can cause individuals to become emotionally distant to protect themselves from further disappointment. And then reduced satisfactions. Reduced satisfaction is another impact of unmet expectation. Now let's take this quote, and while we take this quote, we'll go for a water break. Let's go for a water break as we read this quote together. all had a water break. Did you stretch? Good to have you back. So now, let's continue. There's this quote by Brent Tracy. It says, you cannot control what happens to you, but you can control your attitude towards what happens to you. And in that, you'll be mastering change rather than allowing change to master you. That means today's topic is about controlling your expectations of on others. Okay? Manage yourself, control your own attitude towards what happens to you. Now we are into the meat, the cocoa of the program, the strategies now to enable us manage expectations, the strategies to relate with people and maintain our sanity. If you want to maintain your sanity in dealing with people, these strategies are for you. These strategies are for you. Number one, accept people as they are. Accept people as they are. What do we mean by that? Accept people as they are. When you accept people as they are, number one, you give yourself peace of mind. Number two, it will reduce that pressure of trying, the headache in relating with people. It will reduce that headache. It will help to promote authenticity. Authenticity. Accepting people as they are is like you're embracing other people's strengths and weaknesses without expecting them to change. Embracing other people's strengths and weaknesses without expecting them to change. And what do we do by that? You embrace people, embrace individuals for who they are without attempting to change them, to fit your personal expectations or ideals. So what do we do? What are the benefits? It promotes authenticity. Benefit of accepting people as they are. It promotes authenticity. It reduces conflicts and it enhances respect. Okay? How do we apply that? How do we apply accepting people as they are? Number one is mindful awareness. Mindful awareness. What do you mean by that? Recognize and appreciate other people's unique qualities and perspectives. Then another way we can apply this strategy is non-judgmental attitude. Avoid criticizing or condemning others, for being different or for not meeting your personal standards. And number three is empathy and understanding. You should seek to understand other people's backgrounds and motivation. It will help to foster empathy and compassion. So what's an example? Let's look at an example of this. Accepting people as they are. It is when you embrace, for example, let's use the family dynamics now as an example. It is when you embrace a sibling's unconventional lifestyle choices without imposing your personal beliefs. Another one in the workplace is when you appreciate diverse work styles and approaches, valuing each team member's contributions. Then in friendships, an example of accepting people as they are is that accepting your friends' flaws and imperfections, but at the same time cherishing their positive qualities and shared experiences. I believe we've had value when we are talking about accepting people as they are. Let's look at strategy number two. Strategy number two is clear communication. Communication. Clear communication. Clear communication. You can see these two young men communicating. How does this help? What do you mean by that? Clear communication is when we have clear and precise expression of our expectations, of our needs and concerns. This will always ensure mutual understanding and alignment. So what's the benefit of clear communication? Number one is that it minimizes misunderstanding. It reduces confusion and ambiguity, in interpersonal interactions. Clear communication enhances collaborations. Okay, it always promotes effective teamwork and cooperation, and it builds trust. Clear communication builds trust. That means that when there's clear communication in building trust, it establishes transparency and openness. It fosters trust in relationships. So how do we apply clear communications? Number one is use I statement, like I. Express thoughts and your feelings using I statement to convey personal. Oh, I am not happy with this. I would like things to be this way. I believe things should go this way. I believe this is the best way to handle this situation. Then clear communication application number two is active listening. Active listening. Pay close attention to other people's verbal and non-verbal cues. It will help you to grasp their perspective very well. Then seek clarification. Confirm mutual understanding by asking questions and summarizing key points when the people talk. Okay? That means in professional setting, it happens. Set clear expectations and deadlines to colleagues to avoid misunderstandings. In personal relationship, discuss your emotional needs and boundaries with your partner. Okay, it will help to maintain a healthy relationship. And then in social interactions, communicate your preferences and expectations during social gatherings. It will help to ensure everyone feels included. That means clear communication is essential for fostering understanding, cooperation, and trust in both personal and professional relationships. I hope you're having value. Let's look at strategy number 3. We promised you 15 strategies. Set boundaries. Set boundaries. Setting boundaries. Strategy number 3, setting boundaries. Setting boundaries. Now, what do you mean by that? Setting boundaries. Establishing clear limits on behaviors, interactions, and expectations to maintain your personal well-being and respect. That's what we mean by setting boundaries. What are the benefits of setting boundaries? Number one, it promotes and protects your emotional health. It safeguards against emotional exhaustion and burnout by preventing overextension. Okay? It promotes respect and it helps to maintain balance. That's benefit of setting boundaries. It promotes emotional health, promotes respect, and encourages maintaining balance. It ensures a healthy balance between your personal and professional life, thereby reducing stress and conflict. Now, how do we apply this setting of boundaries into our life? It will help you to identify. Number one is identify your personal limits. Reflect on your personal values, your needs and comfort levels, to determine appropriate boundaries. Communicate assertively, speak out, say your mind. Okay, use assertive language or non-verbal cues, and then enforce consistently. Reinforce your boundaries consistently. It will help to uphold your personal integrity and well-being. Then examples of setting boundaries is in your work environment. You can set boundaries on work hours, and availability, so that you can prioritize your personal time and avoid burnout. Yes, in the work time, a lot of time people don't set boundaries, and you see them working beyond the time, and even when they're at home, they are still working. So you don't have a limit. They don't prioritize personal time and well-being. Other example is social interaction. Communicate your limits, okay, on discussing sensitive topics or personal matters during social gatherings. Then in family relationships, an example is establish boundaries, unacceptable behaviors and communication, with your family members, so that you can maintain harmony. So setting boundaries is crucial to maintaining emotional and physical well-being, promoting respect, promoting balance in various relationships and environment. I believe we are having value. Let us go to strategy 4. Practice empathy. Practice empathy. You can see this lady and the woman, this empathy in action. Practice empathy. What do you mean by that? Practicing empathy. Practicing empathy is understanding and sharing feelings, sharing perspective of others, having and not just seeing things in your own eye, but understanding and sharing feelings and expectations of others, demonstrating compassion and connection. Okay, what are the benefits of practicing empathy? Number one, it enhances relationships. Okay, practicing empathy enhances relationship. It deepens emotional bonds and fosters trust and mutual understanding. It promotes collaboration. It builds emotional intelligence. It will help to improve self-awareness and interpersonal skills. Then another one is, what is the application? How do we apply practicing empathy? Number one is active listening. Pay full attention to others. You can see this young lady and the senior lady, active listening. Pay full attention to other people's emotions and concerns without judgment. Another one is put yourself in their shoes. Imagine how others might feel or perceive a situation from their own perspective, and then express understanding. Express understanding. That means verbalize empathy through validating their statements and gestures of support. Now, let's look at examples of ways we practice empathy. In the workplace, you can practice empathy by acknowledging a colleague's stress and then offering support and assistance. Then, in our personal relationships, you can practice empathy by understanding a friend's feelings during a difficult time and providing emotional support. And then customer service, empathizing with a customer's frustration and working towards a solution. That means practicing empathy cultivates meaningful connections, improves communications and promotes a supportive environment in both personal and professional relationship. Let's look at strategy number 5. Strategy number 5, letting go of control. Letting go of control. Very interesting. Letting go of control. Now, letting go of control is releasing that need to detect outcome of or other people's behaviors. Releasing the need to detect outcomes of other people's behavior, allowing for acceptance and adaptability, allowing other people to be themselves. Okay, now what are the benefits of letting go of control? Number one, it reduces stress. It will minimize your anxiety. It will minimize frustration that are associated with trying to control uncontrollable factors. It helps to promote flexibility. It encourages openness to change and adaptation in various situations, and it enhances relationships. How do we apply letting go of control? Identify control issues, practice mindfulness, and delegate and trust. Delegate and trust. Very, very important. What are the examples of this? Let's give an example of letting go of control. In a work environment, an example is when you allow team members to take ownership of projects and contribute their core ideas, when you don't micromanage people. Then in personal life, accepting that not everything can be planned, not everything can be predicted, and learning and expressing spontaneity and uncertainty. Then in parenting, as a parent, allow your children to make age appropriate decisions, and learn from their experiences. This is one of the ways you can improve your sanity, letting go of control. That means that letting go of control promotes personal well-being and enhances relationships and fosters a positive and adaptable mindset, in various aspects of life. Let's look at number 6. All right, number 6 says managing your reactions. Managing your reaction. What do you mean by that? Managing your reaction is when you control your responses, how you respond to situation and stimuli, promoting emotional regulation and constructive behavior. What are the benefits of managing your reactions? It enhances emotional stability, it enhances conflict resolution, and it enhances personal growth. How do we apply this? Managing your reactions. Number one is pause and do what? Reflect. Pause and reflect. Take a moment to assess the situation before reacting impulsively. Avoid taking actions impulsively. Number two is choose your response. What do you mean by that? Respond thoughtfully rather than reacting emotionally, considering the long-term impact. Then practice self-care. Maintain emotional balance through activities like mindfulness, exercise, and relaxation techniques. Then, what are examples of ways we manage our reactions? Number one, in the workplace, you can respond calmly to criticism or unexpected changes in projects. That's a way of managing your reaction. In personal relationships, you can handle disagreements with empathy, and patience, seeking understanding rather than in escalating conflict. Then in our daily lives, managing stressors like traffic delays or technology malfunction with patience and adaptability. So what are we talking about? Managing your reaction empowers you to maintain control over your emotions. It improves interpersonal interactions and cultivates a positive environment both personally and professionally. Let's look at strategy number 7. Adjusting your perspective. Adjusting your perspective. Adjusting your perspective is changing your viewpoint or outlook on situations, people or events to foster understanding and positivity. That is changing your viewpoints, changing your outlook on situations, on people, or on events to foster understanding and positivity. And what's the benefit of adjusting your perspective? Number one is it promotes resilience. Okay. Number two, it enhances empathy. And number three, it reduces negative thinking. How does adjusting your perspective reduce negative thinking? It does this because it minimizes pessimism and fosters a more optimistic and constructive mindset. How do we apply adjusting our perspective? Number one is seek alternative ways. Consider different angles or viewpoints to gain a broader understanding of situations. Then challenge assumptions. Question assumptions or preconceptions, okay, that may influence your perspective. And then practice gratitude. Focus on positive aspects and lessons learned from experiences, even in difficult situations. Now, examples of adjusting your perspective. Let me give you some examples in workplace, personal relationships, and daily challenges. In the workplace, an example is when you view setbacks as opportunities for growth and learning rather than failure. Then in your personal life, it's when you understand different opinions or behaviors from loved ones with empathy and compassion. And then in our daily challenges, it is when we see obstacles as temporary and surmountable, maintaining a proactive and resilient attitude. That means that adjusting your perspective empowers you to do what? To cultivate a more resilient and empathetic approach to life's, challenges, fostering personal growth and, a positive relationship. I hope we are having value. Okay, let's take a short break, a short music break while we go on number 8 strategy. Okay, thank you. We had a short break, a short water break. Now, let's talk about strategy 8, focusing on what you can control. One of the ways to give yourself that sanity, focus on what you can control. And how does that work? That means when you focus on what you can control, is when you direct your attention and effort toward aspects or situations of life that you have the ability to influence or change. Now, what's the benefit of focusing on what you can control? Number one is that it promotes proactivity. It encourages taking action rather than feeling helpless or overwhelmed by external factors. It increases effectiveness and it reduces stress. Okay. Now, how do we apply focusing on what we can control? Number one is identify controllable factors. How do we do that? Assess any situation you are looking at to determine what aspect you can realistically influence. Then set clear goals. Establish specific and achievable goals based on what you can control. Then take strategic action. Focus your energy and resources on actions that align with your goals and are within your sphere of influence. Then, what are the examples of focusing on what you can control? Career development. In career development, concentrate on enhancing skills, okay, and networking rather than worrying about market fluctuations. Then in your personal health, prioritize exercise, Prioritize nutrition habits, to improve well-being rather than fixating on uncontrollable external stressors. Then in your relationships, investing time and effort in communicating, in communication and understanding rather than trying to change someone else's behavior. Invest time and effort in communication and understanding your partner instead of trying to change his or her behavior. That means focusing on what you can control empowers you to take charge of your life, achieve meaningful progress, and maintain a positive outlook despite, external challenges. Interesting. All right. Number 9 strategy is being patient. Being patient. Being patient is maintaining calmness and tolerance in the face of delays, challenges, or difficult situations. What are the benefits of being patient? Number one is that it promotes emotional stability. Number two, it enhances problem solving, and being patient also strengthens relationship. How? Because it demonstrates respect and understanding, which always fosters positive interaction with others. Now, how do we apply being patient? Number one is practice mindfulness. That means stay present and acknowledge feelings of impatience without reacting impulsively. Number two way of practicing being patient is set realistic expectations. Realize that some outcomes require time and effort to achieve, and then focus on progress. Celebrate small victories, and milestones along the way to maintain motivation. Those are ways we can practicalize being patient. Let's look at some examples in your career growth, in your personal development and interpersonal relation. In career growth, example of being patient is when you wait for career advancement or opportunities while continuing to perform well in your current responsibilities. Then in your personal development, it is learning new skills or habits, that requires consistent effort and patience to master. And then in interpersonal relationship, it's when you allow space and time for others to express themselves or make decisions without pressure. What's the key takeaway? Being patient fosters resilience. It promotes effective problem solving, and it also strengthens relationships by demonstrating understanding and respect, for the process of growth and change. That means being patient is very, very important. Being patient is All right, you're welcome to number 10 strategy, seeking clarification. Number 10, seeking clarification. What do we mean by that in seeking clarification? In seeking clarification, it means that you're actively seeking additional information or understanding to ensure clear comprehension of expectations of instructions or situations. So, what are the benefits of this very strategy? Let's look at the benefits of seeking clarification. The benefit number one is that it enhances understanding. Seeking clarification will enhance your understanding. It prevents misunderstanding and promotes clarity in communication. Seeking clarification reduces errors and it strengthens relationships. When you seek clarification, it will enhance your understanding, it will reduce errors, and it will strengthen relationship. How do we apply this strategy? Ask questions, paraphrase and summarize, and request feedback. Ask questions, paraphrase and summarize, and request feedback when communicating with people. Let's look at an example of seeking clarification. In the workplace, you can ask your supervisors or team members for further clarifications on specific projects so that you can do the right thing, you can align appropriately. And then educational setting, seek clarification on your assignments, your course materials. It will help to enhance learning and comprehension. And then personal interaction, ask for clarification. It's very, very important. It helps you. They say who know road, follow who know road. Seeking clarification is like you following who knows road. Okay, that means that seeking clarification promotes effective communication. It reduces stress, it reduces errors, it strengthens relationships by ensuring mutual understanding and alignment, okay, on expectations and information. Now let's look at strategy number 11. Strategy number 11 is, okay, before then, let's take this quote. Assumptions are termites of relationships by Henry Winkler. When we make assumptions that don't have proper basis, those assumptions become termites of our relationships. They'll eat up the relationships and cause the relationship to wither, to have problems. Now let's look at strategy number 11. Practicing gratitude. Practicing gratitude is very, very important. Why is practicing gratitude very important? Number one, practicing gratitude is when you cultivate that mindset of appreciation. Okay? It is when you cultivate that mindset of appreciation and acknowledgement, okay, for the positive aspect of life, for your positive aspect of your relationships, for the positive aspect of your experiences. That's what it means by practicing gratitude. Being grateful for the beautiful things about your life, about other people, about your relationships, about your job, about your environment. Practicing gratitude will help you to manage expectations, okay? It always enhances well-being. It will always improve relationships and promote resilience. Practicing gratitude always promotes well-being. It enhances well-being. It improves your relationships and it promotes resilience. How do we apply practicing gratitude? Number one is daily reflection. Take time each day and reflect on the beautiful things of life, on the beauty, on the people, about the experiences you appreciate. Take time and reflect on them. Daily reflection. Another one is gratitude journal. I have my gratitude journal here. This is my gratitude journal. Okay? This is my gratitude journal. I write about moments of gratitude, moments of excitement, moments that have really had things running as I expect or in beautiful ways. This having a gratitude journal is very important. Then express appreciation. Verbally or in writing, acknowledge and thank others. okay, for their contribution, support, or kindness. Those are different ways you can practice gratitude. Examples are in your personal health. Be grateful for good health. Be grateful for supportive relationships. Be grateful for opportunities for personal growth. Then in your work environment, express gratitude, for colleagues, for collaborations, for achievements, for shared successes. Express gratitude. We have people that can complain from morning till night. They are complaint mongers. At work, nobody is ever doing well. No, 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 no. Practice gratitude. If you want to maintain your sanity, practice gratitude. Then your daily life, appreciate simple pleasures such as nature, such as hobbies, such as moments of relaxation. Appreciate all of that. So good people, practicing gratitude cultivates what? It cultivates a positive mindset. It enhances relationships. It increases resilience by focusing on the good in life and fostering a sense of abundance and contentment. So now let's quickly go to strategy. All right. Number 12, finding common ground. Finding common ground. What do you mean by that? Identify shared interests, identify shared values or goals, to establish mutual understanding and agreement in your relationships, in your discussions. Okay. What are the benefits of finding common ground? Number one is that it promotes collaboration. Number two, it builds trust. And number three, it enhances communications. Okay. Now, how do we apply finding common ground? Number one is active listening. When you pay attention to other people's viewpoint and perspective, it will help you identify areas of agreement. Then seek understanding. Ask questions and engage in dialogues, to uncover shared interests or goals. And then compromise. Another way is compromise. Explore solutions that integrate diverse perspective and interests, so that you can achieve mutual benefit. So what are the examples of finding common ground? Number one, in your workplace, finding common ground with colleagues on projects is when you find common ground with your colleagues on particular projects, okay? And in community engagement, identify shared values and work with it. Then your interpersonal relationship, establishing common ground with friends or family members on shared hobbies and interests. Very, very important. That means finding common ground promotes cooperation, it strengthens relationships, and also enhances communications, by focusing on shared values, interests, or goals, to achieve mutual understanding and agreement. Let's look at strategy number 13. Avoiding assumptions. Avoiding assumptions. Avoiding assumptions. What do you mean by this? Avoiding assumptions. When we say one is avoiding assumption, it means that you're refraining from making conclusions or judgments, based on incomplete or insufficient information. Ensuring clarity and accuracy. Avoiding assumptions is when you refrain from making conclusions, you refrain from making judgments based on incomplete or insufficient information. Okay, ensuring clarity and accuracy. Now, what are the benefits of avoiding assumptions? Number one benefit is that it promotes understanding. It prevents misunderstanding and promote clarity in communication. Number two benefit is that it reduces conflict. Avoiding assumption always help to reduce conflict, and it encourages openness. Now, how do we apply this? Apply it by seeking clarification. Seek clarification first before you conclude. Seek clarification by asking questions rather than assuming understanding. Verify, double check facts, double check details before you draw conclusions. Okay? Then stay open minded. Stay open minded. Remain receptive to new information or perspective, that challenge your assumptions. Let's quickly look at some examples of ways that we can avoid assumptions. Number one, in the workplace, example is avoid assuming the intention or motives behind your colleagues' actions without seeking clarification. Then, in your personal relationships, refrain from assuming how other people feel, okay, or think without direct communication. And then in your daily interactions, avoid jumping to conclusions about situation or event based on limited information. That means, good people, avoiding assumptions always promotes effective communication. It reduces misunderstandings and it fosters respectful and collaborative relationships because it always helps to ensure clarity and accuracy in our interaction and decision making. Now let's look at number 14. Before then, let's take a short break. All right. Strategy number 14, encouraging open dialogue. Encouraging open dialogue. What do we mean by encouraging open dialogue? Now, in encouraging open dialogue, what do we mean by it? It means that promoting an environment where individuals feel comfortable, to express their thoughts, feelings, and opinion openly and honestly. Encouraging open dialogue is when we promote an environment where individuals feel comfortable, to express their thoughts, their feelings, and opinions openly and honestly. Now, what are the benefits of encouraging open dialogue? Number one is that it fosters communication. Number two, it builds trust. Number three, it promotes innovation. Okay, it promotes innovations. How do we apply open dialogue? Number one is active listening. Listen attentively to other people's viewpoints without interrupting or judging. Then respectful communications. Use respectful language and non-verbal cues, to create a supportive atmosphere. And then encourage participation. Now, what's examples of encouraging open dialogue? Number one is team meeting. Encourage team meetings and encourage team members to express themselves, to share their opinions you know, on projects, strategies, or on challenges. And then family discussion. Create opportunities for family members to openly discuss their concerns or challenges. Another example is in community engagement, when you host forum, town hall meetings just to get feedback. That means that encouraging open dialogue fosters collaboration, it strengthens relationships, and it also promotes a culture of transparency and more innovation, by creating space for honest and respectful communications among individuals and groups. Now let's look at number 15, the last but not the least strategy. The last, say take care of yourself. I beg of you, take care of yourself. Give yourself a tight hug. You deserve a hug. You deserve a hug. Take care of yourself. How do we take care of ourselves? How do we take care of ourselves? Prioritize self-care to maintain physical, emotional, and mental well-being. What are the benefits of taking care of your health? Number one, it enhances your overall health. Number two, it promotes balance. And three, it builds resilience. How do we apply this? Number one, your physical health. When you take care of your health, yourself, it shows in your physical health. That is when you engage in regular exercises, when you eat nutritious meals, and get adequate rest. Then another benefit is emotional well-being, or another application, it enhances emotional well-being. How? Practice mindfulness. This is another way of taking care of yourself. Practice mindfulness, relaxation techniques, or hobbies that bring joy. And then professional development, set boundaries, delegate tasks, and seek support when needed to avoid being overwhelmed. What are the examples? Daily routine. In our daily routine, carve out time for exercise, carve out time for meditation, carve out time for hobbies. It will help you to recharge and unwind. Okay? To create work-life balance, take breaks, set realistic goals, and maintain boundaries to prevent burnout. And then your personal relationships, nurture meaningful connections, and seek support from loved ones during challenging times. That means take care of yourself. Taking care of yourself is very essential for maintaining overall well-being, resilience, and productivity, and in all aspects of life. That means prioritizing self-care enables you to better manage stress, it helps you to maintain balance, and it helps you to sustain positive relationship and achievements over time. Thank you so much. I believe we've had value. It's been an amazing class. It's been an amazing class. This quote says, you cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always choose how you respond to it. Let's take it again. You cannot control the behavior of others, but you can always choose how you respond to it. Now, these are some practical applications and implementation tips. Let's look at some practical applications. In accepting people as they are, if your friend has different political views than you, instead of trying to change their opinion, choose focus on enjoying your shared interests. How do you implement this? Practice mindfulness and empathy even in the conversation. Remind yourself of the value of diversity of thoughts. Okay? And then what do you do? Reflect on moments where you successfully accepted differences. Set reminders to stay mindful in challenging conversations. Clear communication. We can have a situation where misunderstanding at works due to unclear instruction. Clarify expectation and ask for feedback to ensure alignment. Then set boundaries. When you feel overwhelmed with commitment, learn to say no when necessary and prioritize your self-care. In letting go of control, traffic delays on your way to an appointment, practice patience and focus on what you can do to manage the situation calmly. Then we have a lot of real life scenarios. You face delays in receiving feedback for a proposal. Example, focus on refining other aspects of the proposal within your control. Just relax. If you misinterpret a colleague's silence during brainstorming session as disinterest, but the way out is what? Approach them later to clarify their thoughts and validate their opinion. Encourage open dialogue. Take care of yourself. We have a lot of case studies. We have a lot of work to do. But right now, I need your questions. Let me just read out this case study, and I need your responses to this case study in the chat box. Put it in the chat box. I need your response in the chat box, okay? Number one is, an entrepreneur face market fluctuations and regulatory changes in the healthcare industry. What should he do in focusing on what he can control? Then in second case studies, a non-profit organization faced delays in funding approvals for a community development project. What's the way out? Please put it in the chat box. And number three case study, a global manufacturing company experienced production delays due to misinterpretation of technical specification. Please put your responses to this case study in the chat box. Thank you so much. I hope we had value. I hope you learned a lot today. Please drop your questions. Let us take it one after the other. I want to take your questions. I want to take your questions. So I really want to appreciate you for your time, good people. I believe we had value. I still look out for your questions. I'm still watching out for your questions. Thank you so much. Enjoy yourself. Please, you're highly welcome to join us in our next class. Thank you and remain blessed.